Hey, Steve Ritter here. So I'm going to show you today a favorite of my family's that I like to cook, beef bourguignon. So this is, if you've ever seen the movie Julie and Julia, this was a Julia Child specialty that she brought back from France. So I looked into that. We saw that movie and tried it a few years ago and really liked it. So I'm going to make that for you today with kind of the way I make it. It's not exactly the way Julia Child made it, but it's pretty close and it's pretty good. So I'm also trying something a little different here. I've got Mom's old camera. Hopefully the sound is a lot better for some of you that have been talking about how the muffled tones that I've been using. Hopefully this is good and I don't cut my head off too much or anything else. So hopefully this works out. I'll be moving it around so that I can kind of catch the action here because I'm kind of flying solo. Bella's got a rehearsal tonight for a play she's doing. So I'm going to be putting this together and I couldn't wait because this takes a while. So the prep, I'm going to show you the prep. It'll go in the oven for about 3 hours and then we'll show you the finished product. So right now I've got all the menu items. You can look down below and on your way down there while you're checking it out and also the steps for making it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed already. But when we started off now, if you can hear it, maybe not. I've got some bacon, 6 slices of center cut Oscar Mayer bacon, or your favorite bacon. And I've got 6 slices. I cut them up and I've got them slowly cooking off and just browning them a little bit. That's what's going on right now. And a 3-pound roast. I got a 3-pound chuck roast. Cut it up in about 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. Cut the big pieces of fat off, although you know the marbling's fine. You don't have to get every little piece of fat off of there because it's going to slow cook for 3 hours. So you can use tougher pieces of meat, and again you're going to be slow cooking it with a wine sauce, wine tomato beef broth sauce. So it's going to it'll soften it up if you use a tougher piece. If you use a tougher piece of meat like a brisket or some other tougher piece of meat, a flat iron steak or something like that, you just need to slow cook it longer. So this is a pretty good cut of meat. I think about 3 hours cooking it's going to work out real nice. So 3-pound roast I cut up in 1.5 to 1.5 inch cubes. Cut up a white onion and about 8 ounces of carrots, or you probably just cut up a couple of carrots, cut them up. I've got some mushrooms set aside ready to go and a bottle of just a dry wine. I've got a Cabernet wine. So we'll check back in a second and we're going to be browning the meat up, so stand by one. Okay, back again. So I've been browning the bacon up, just slow cooking it in the bacon in a nice big pot. Now the thing with this is I'm going to cook it all in the same pot. So I've got the bacon browned up pretty good. I put about a tablespoon of. I'll try not to get my teaspoon and tablespoon mixed up this time. That's another thing I've noticed I tend to do sometimes. Maybe I was nervous. That could be it. But I'm gonna take off this bacon here. So I've kind of cooked out some of the fat in it and browned this up. Now Julia Child talks about lardons and taking those and boiling them or simmering in water and then taking them out and then browning them up with a little bit of oil. I just skip right to it. I just simmer the bacon. Doesn't need to be crispy or anything else, so I just kind of slow cooked it. I've got a lot of the bacon grease left behind. Now I'm going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in here. Close enough. Now I've got the meat cut up. I took it out, washed it off real good when I took it out of the pack, and then I patted it dry, and then I cut it up in inch squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it in here. I'm going to heat this up. While I'm doing that, by the way, I've got the oven preheating to 450, and we'll get back to that in a second here. So I've got this the meat here cut up. Mostly about the same size, so they cook evenly. That's another little tip. So I'm going to just put these in here, brown these up, and kind of sear them. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit, kind of heat this up a little bit more. Drop this in. kind of sear the meat up real good. That's what I'm looking to do. Looking to get a brown all over. Again, it's going to slow cook in the oven for 3 hours, so I don't need to really worry about cooking it all the way through. Is just get a nice brown. You can see like on this piece. See how it's a little brown right there. That's mostly what I'm looking to do. And again, any oil or juices or savory that comes off of that, I'm going to use that to brown up the vegetables. So we'll come back. So I'm going to brown these up, and when they get browned up, I'm going to set them to the side, and then we'll cook our vegetables in it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're back. It's been probably about 5 minutes cooking this. And you can see it's cooking a lot of the juice out, the water out, the fat off the meat here. So you can see it's juiced up real nice. And what I'm going to do now is it's brown enough. It's not exactly seared, but it's browned up real nice. I'm going to just take this off to the side now and put it. I'll just put it over with the bacon and just set this aside. Oh, lost one. I have to go back and get that one. So I'll set these aside for now. Turn this down a little bit so I can cook myself. Taking this meat off. Now, what I want to do is use that juice to brown up the vegetables that I'm going to put in it. So, you know what to put in it. I like the recipe calls for just onions and carrots. I suppose you could put in some different things. That's kind of what I go with, is the carrots. You know, you probably put in some other root vegetables. I would sure, you know, turnips or something, I presume. So I've got juice there. What I'm going to do, I've got my white onion, and I'm going to just dump that in and brown these up a little bit too. Use the juice to kind of cook these for a little bit. Onions, carrots go in. And I'm going to use the juice from that meat and the bacon. Stir that around in there and get those mixing good. So again, we're just kind of medium heat until the onions, and again, they're going to cook in the pot. So what we're doing is just basically cooking the juice down a little bit, and as you cook the onions, it'll bring some juice out as well. So we'll just kind of cook this here for about 5 minutes or so over medium heat. See how this turns out. So we'll come back here and try. See you in a second. Okay, so you can see I've spent about 5 minutes now. I've cooked this down over medium heat. Most of the liquid's gone, and the onions are just starting to look a little translucent. The carrots, I'm sure, are not tender or anything again, but not really concerned about that because they're going to slow cook in the oven for a while. Pretty much all the liquid's gone from that. So again, the Julia Child recipe at this point says, you know, pour off any liquid, and you're looking for, you want it to be dry, because but this is pretty dry now, so I'm going to save myself a step and not really worry about that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the meat back in. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off for now. I'm going to put the meat back in. So I got all my beef. I got the bacon. I'm going to put that back in as well. Pour all that back in. I don't think I dropped any, no jailbreaks. All right. I'm going to kind of mix that up. So again, I'm gonna stick with the same pot. Use the same pot because I got all these good flavors starting to mix in there now. So keep it nice and simple, and I know it'll make it a little easier for cleanup later, because if you don't use a whole lot of different pots. It's starting to look good now. So that meat and the bacon's all together. Now I've got my oven. Now remember, we preheated the oven to 450. Now what I'm doing now is I want to take 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And we're going to kind of dust the top of this. So I want to, you can do a heaping tablespoon. And what I want to do is put a tablespoon on there. Then I want to kind of mix this in because I basically want to dust all the meat. Now this is going to kind of give you a good, little thicker gravy. It's going to thicken the sauce up as it cooks. You'll end up with a little thicker sauce when the time comes. Now if you want to go a little heavier on the flour, gotta do like if you, like I said, I don't really sweat it. I'll go with heaping tablespoons. I might even go 2.5 tablespoons, just to, because I like gravy. And who doesn't, right? It's like butter. Can't ever have enough butter, can't have enough gravy. But I just kind of give it all a good dusting. There, it's looking pretty good. Okay. And what I want to do now is put it in that oven at 450 degrees for about 4 minutes. So we'll do that and we'll come back and see what that looks like. Okay, so it's been about 4 minutes. Take this out now. No, it's not done yet. Alright, so what I want to do is, watch out because that pan's hot, is just stir this around again. Kind of cooking on the flour onto the meat, baking that on so we get a nice, end up with a nice gravy. So just kind of give it a good turn. And then back into the 450 degrees for another 4 minutes or so. Alright, and then we'll come back to check. Okay, so it's been about another 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven down to 325. So go ahead and turn your oven down to 325. And while it's cooling down to that, I'll take this out now. Looking good. Okay, so I like kosher salt, or you could use the pink Himalayan, or even not regular iodized salt, but about a pinch of salt. Kosher salt, I like the taste. Goes a lot farther. Again, I know Mom didn't you like to use pepper, and some of you are allergic to it, and that's just pepper to taste. You don't have to use pepper. Probably a little bit more than a pinch. I like pepper. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put in a tablespoon of tomato paste. Well, that's good sticky tomato paste here. Tomato paste, this is going to give us a nice tomato wine thing. So, Mom never really, we never really had like French food per se, any exotic things. A lot of southern stuff, as you can imagine. This is what I kind of grew up eating. A lot of southern comfort food. Woe is me, right? Believe me, I didn't miss out on anything. That was tasty stuff. So there's a tomato paste. Now I've got my cheap, well, you can, no need really to go expensive on the wine. This is just just something that you'd be willing to drink. So about 3 cups. Now if you don't drink wine, not sure what would be a good alternative. I'm not sure I'd go with grape juice. That's probably too sweet. Something, I don't know, cooking sherry, again, if you're not, but 3 cups, but that's, the alcohol is going to kind of cook out of it. 3 cups, and that's just about a bottle, so we got that, and then you're going to want some beef broth. And you're going to put in enough beef broth to cover the meat. So let me just kind of mix that all together. That's a lot of wine. That was probably, probably anywhere from about 2 to 3 cups of beef broth, because again, this is going to kind of, this is 3. I'm going to go ahead and use all 3. We're going to go ahead and turn the oven on, and you want to bring this up to a simmer. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove top on and just kind of mix this together. Now to that, I've got 3 cloves of garlic. I always love that garlic. Just dump that in there. And then I've got some sprigs of thyme. This is from a little plant we have outside on our front porch. I have a little herb garden out there. So 3 sprigs of thyme, that's probably maybe a tablespoon of thyme. I always got thyme. And got to mix this together. So we're going to bring this to a simmer. It's already warm, but we'll warm this back up. And it's going to slow cook. So we'll bring this up to a simmer and then we'll check, see how it looks. Stand by one. All right, so I'm bringing this up to a boil. One thing I'm going to go ahead and throw in a bay leaf as well. That's one thing I forgot last round. I'm going to mix that in there. So I brought it up to a simmer. Now there's a lot of juice in there, and I'm a little. I like gravy. I like a gravy with it. So I honestly, I mean, 100% transparency here. I'm kind of looking at this, going, well, is this going to be too much juice? So a couple of things I'm thinking about is this is going to cook down, and it'll consolidate a little bit, and those flavors will really get powerful. That's what I'm hoping. And then we'll see if it's this much juice. If you have a lot of juice left over, we can do is we have a colander. We can kind of catch the juice, pour it off, and then bring some of the juice back in here with the meat, and we'll kind of cook the juice down a little bit more in a separate pot. But we'll see how that looks. But right now, I think this is good. So I got it back up to a simmer. My oven's back to 325. I've got everything in it that I need to. What I'm going to do is go ahead and cover this. I'll turn the stove off, or the top off. And I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. And I'm going to put it in for about 2 hours. For now, we'll put it in for 2 hours. And we'll go from there. So, like I said, complete transparency. That part of the stove is not tall enough, so I'm gonna have to go with the bottom stove. So put it in for 3 hours, and I'm gonna put it in the bottom one here and cook it for 3 hours, and I'll be back. Okay, so while the beef bourguignon is in the oven, slowly cooking at 325, covered. Now we're gonna go ahead and get ahead a little bit. So I put about 3 tablespoons of butter. I got my big 15-inch cast iron skillet here, about 15 inches. So 3 tablespoons of butter and about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I've got 2 packs of 12-ounce packs of already pre-washed and sliced mushrooms that I got from Publix. And so what we're going to do is just saute these up. Dump them all in. Now, ravishing Mrs. Ritter has always kind of pointed out to me that the best way to, like eggs, the best way to cook mushrooms is to cook them slow, let them cook down slow. Now, as these, you see it takes up a lot of space here as they slowly cook. When they first go in, they kind of soak up a lot of the oil and everything, but as they cook, they're going to release water into the pan. And you want to basically slowly cook them until all that water is gone, and they're basically kind of dry in the pan. Not hard dry, but a lot of the liquid is out of them. And the less you flip them as a tip, the better. So we'll let these kind of cook down, and when they get cooked down, eventually we'll turn them over and then let them sit, and then we'll just put some dried parsley over the top of them. And the idea is to saute these, and we're going to add these back into the beef bourguignon at about the 2-hour point. So we'll come back and finish sauteing these. I'll show you what it looks like. You don't have to stand there and watch me slowly do this. So this video would end up being an hour long, and ain't nobody got time for that. So I'll come right back. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes or so. You can see kind of golden brown is what we're looking for. A lot of that juice is kind of cooked off, kind of cooking it down. Let's turn around just again. Nice, slow
Just like, and I find myself getting more and more comfortable with that the older I get. I kind of move a little slower now than I used to, and I find that I have a lot more patience now. I don't know, that's crazy, I know, but this is about ready. So again, these are gonna, what I'm gonna do is put these in, with the beef bourguignon at about the 2-hour point. I think that's what I'm gonna try this time, so we're gonna see. So I kind of cook these down to a nice kind of golden brown. Look good. I kind of flatten them out here. I turn the heat back down a little bit. And I'm going to just kind of sprinkle them a little bit with some parsley. Now while I'm cooking these, also, I don't know if you can't see back in the back here, that I got some potatoes. So just get some yellow potatoes and skin them. Peel them, I should say. Not skin them. I guess there are potato skins, but just cut them up in like 1-inch squares. That's what I like to do, and just boil them with a little bit of salt. I did put a little bit of salt in this with the butter as well, so they are very, in fact, I'm going to sneak one right now. Don't tell anybody. I love the earthy flavor with mushrooms. Those are good. Bella loves mushrooms too, so she's still not home from school yet, so I gotta cook these and get them out where she can't see them, or she'll come in and swipe some. But 1-inch squares with the potatoes. You know, again, boil them, cut them up about the same size again, so they all cook at the same rate, and just boil up some potatoes, just yellow potatoes. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'm going to. Nobody wants to watch boiling potato video, so I'll boil those. And they're going to go, I'm going to kind of put them on the plate, kind of mush them a little bit, and then I'm going to put the beef bourguignon, and that's the plan. So the beef bourguignon with the gravy is going to go over the mashed potatoes, and then we've got a nice bread, loaf of bread that we bought from the store as well. So I'm going to go ahead and, so the next thing we're going to see is I'm going to be taking the beef bourguignon out at the 2-hour point. See how it looks with the juice, and we're going to get the mushrooms in. So be right back. All right, so it's about the 1 hour or the 2-hour point. I'm going to take a look and see how it's doing. Smells great. What I'm going to do here now. So I'm less concerned about the amount of liquid now as much as I was before. So you can see it's browning up real nice. It's thickening up. 1 more hour ought to be real nice. I'm going to go ahead and take these mushrooms. I'm going to go ahead and put those in now. And then I'm going to stir them in, and then I'm going to just make sure they get in there mixed in good, and then I'm going to put the top back on, put it back in for another hour, and wish y'all could smell this. It smells good. So I'll be right back. Alright, it's 3 hours. Let's take this out. Make up a plate here, try this out. Oh! So again, you can cook it a little longer if you'd like to. Make it even more tender. But you get a, oh, look at that. Looks good. And I like how this is thickened up. All the mushrooms kind of came to the top, which make Bella happy. So this is good. This looks good. So, okay. So what I do is I'm going to take some potatoes, some boiled potatoes, just like this, and just put this, just take a scoop, put it over top, a little bit of the juice. Right, and again, you probably can cook it down a little bit more, put another little bit of flour in it to kind of thicken it up and all, but let's see, let's turn this up here so we can. Alright, so get the hang of this camera. Alright, so here we go. Let's see. Let's try this out. Nice savory can taste the wine, and of course, the meat. It's hot, but it's also fork tender. So hope you enjoyed it. Try it. Let me know again the recipe and the what I did is down below. There's some other tips, and let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. See y'all later.